Hello, everybody. Drew here for Drew.Underground here on YouTube.com. Also from the YouTube channel Drew.Underground Gaming and Drew.Underground Gaming on Twitch. If you have the time, go subscribe to those channels to check me out playing video games that I enjoy playing or games that you guys want to see me playing, as I do take requests on that. But here on this channel, this is episode 40, Breaking Rocks. Obviously, by the thumbnail and the title, you guys know that we're going to be checking out at some point on this stream Tom MacDonald's music video called Coronavirus. And we feel that it's a safe time to do that, given current happenings going on in the world right now. But we also got some other shit to talk about too. And for that, first, let me turn the speaker up so you can better hear my younger brother, Desert Nord, joining us. Hey, bro.
Hey there.
And Josh is not here. He's on vacation, I think, with his family, right?
Yep. Yeah, they're enjoying themselves.
Yeah, they're out at theme parks and whatnot. So shout out to Joshy. Hope you're having a great time. And we do miss you, but just enjoy yourself, brother. We're holding it down here without you just fine, but we do still miss you very much. On that note, we might as well start off with the elephant in the room, the big, red, old, wrinkled elephant, right?
Yeah.
That speech from Joe Biden had fascism written all fucking over it. Right now?
Oh yeah, I mean, just on the face of it, I really don't know who thought the optics of that was smart. Really, really strange. Literally borrowing directly from many terrible dictators of the past, particularly the Nazis.
Specifically, trending on Twitter was a reference to a certain leader from the 1940s in Germany.
Yeah.
Which obviously I'm not going to say his name on YouTube, but you get the idea. As I know you guys get the idea watching this later.
The whole thing here is that this was a speech basically to say half the country, according to him, are a danger to the further existence of the country.
Well, as it turns out,
must be stopped.
If you look at the actual numbers from the 2020 election, it was actually more than half the country.
Well, I'm just saying half for the sake of argument here.
Fair enough.
Point being, the current president thinks and felt like saying half the country is going to destroy the fabric of the country and need to be stopped.
Not you yet. God damn it.
What happened?
The thing started playing behind me.
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to make sure the controller doesn't turn off, and the fucking video started playing prematurely. I had a premature start, folks.
Whoops.
Yeah. Like a premature ejaculation, only it was Tom that was prematurely starting. We love you, Tom MacDonald. Hangover gang forever, but still.
Yeah.
You were saying?
But yeah, the thing was, the speech is nothing but an excoriation of his political opponents. How dare they exist? How dare they oppose him? How dare they believe different things? How dare they have their opinions they have? And how dare they be free to express their political opinions? And how dare they, basically do any of this to him and his country?
And if you know,
we're not part of it.
And if you notice that the mannerisms seemed like he was pounding quite a bit like a man with a funny mustache too.
Yes, the anger is such a parallel, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to give a red light backdrop, dark, dimly lit, angry speech where you're pounding your fist? What the fuck, dude?
And yet, I remember when Trump was president, probably shouldn't even mention his name on YouTube because YouTube ain't going to like it, but fuck him.
Yeah.
At this point. But when Trump was president, people that were voting against him were comparing him to the man from Germany in the 40s.
No, and that's what makes this is all about the Dark Brandon meme.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about. There are people in his administration, Biden's administration, that think the Dark Brandon meme is a good meme.
They haven't watched Star Wars then.
They also think that it's somehow complimentary to him. Do they not? They don't somehow realize it was a massive insult.
And they clearly know nothing about world history and world wars, if you know what I mean, folks.
Like, this is not Joe Biden giving no fucks. He never has given a fuck.
He doesn't know what a fuck is at this point.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, now he's gone. He's no more Mr. Nice Guy. It's like, dude, did you ever pay attention to the freaking political race we just watched? He was never Mr. Nice Guy. So the idea that he's dropping the pretense and going all Dark Brandon on us, which is funny they used Brandon.
Which, well, yeah. But it brings up this thought in me as well. Biden wants to be the great unifier, and he's succeeding at that. He's uniting the country against him.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, oh, just in case you were against actual fascism. Oh, hey, here's Joe espousing it. Yay!
Great. Now let's oppose him.
It's like,
even if you're not really the biggest fan of Trump himself, at least Trump talks like he actually gives a fuck about our country, because
it's like
he does a hell of a lot more than this.
Honestly, if anyone in the audience was like a member of the Greatest Generation, like actually fought in World War II and was alive and was watching that speech, they literally would have had like war flashbacks from him giving that fucking speech.
So you think that our grandfather, Grandpa Leonard, if he were still alive, would felt that way then?
Yeah, anybody that was alive at the time would have had fucking flashbacks from what Biden just did with that speech. Because it would have reminded them severely of the German man. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
The German man.
And everybody knows it.
You do know you and I are part German, right?
No, I know, but that's beside the point.
Just saying.
I'm trying to not get your podcast in trouble, okay?
I understand and I appreciate that. Let's just call him the man with the funny mustache.
Sure. Anyway, funny mustache man.
Yeah.
Did exactly the same type of speeches that Biden just gave.
Indeed.
And everyone who was alive at that time would remind them of it.
Yeah.
So this is really bad. And then the thing that happened the morning after, which this speech was a couple days ago.
Yeah. I saw and heard this. He denied saying any of it.
He completely walked back half of what he said in that speech.
Yeah, which doesn't surprise me because he doesn't remember where he is when he is somewhere.
Yeah, suddenly it went from "they're a danger to the republic and must be stopped" to the next morning he's like, "Oh no, I just disagree with them. That's all. You know, they're my political opponents. I disagree with them. It's just all normal stuff." You know, like that's his attitude the next morning. It's like, dude, did you just have a hate-gasm in front of the entire nation? Is that what this was?
hate-gasm.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, it was just like he wanted to rant. They were like, here, Biden, we'll give you a fucking podium and a red background to rant. It's like, I don't even know who's in charge of this clown show anymore.
Yeah.
But obviously someone must be.
Yeah. So, on that
it's a dark turn for presidential politics, to be sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether to even take it seriously.
between that, Mar-a-Lago getting raided, and we know a few more things about what was taken.
Yeah, the arming of the IRS and all that. Yeah.
And the personal effects of Mrs. Trump.
Oh, yeah. And also Barron's bedroom was raided, too.
Yeah.
That was part of the warrant, apparently. Somehow.
Apparently, little Trump couldn't have his PlayStation 5 or whatever. I don't know.
It just goes to prove that it was an intimidation raid, not anything to do with anything real.
Yeah. In other words, like we did here on this channel, the Banana Republic episode of this podcast, talking about that very topic. Banana Republic shit to a T. But speaking of Banana Republic, Facebook, FBI, DOJ, fucking corruption. You wanted to talk about too, right?
Yeah. Last week we got the revelation about Facebook from the Joe Rogan show interviewing Mark Zuckerberg about how the FBI had directly warned him about the Hunter Biden laptop story and that he should do something to censor it because they felt that it was misinformation, which we now know it fucking wasn't misinformation. It's true.
I'm not sure what I want to call him. Zuckerberg or Fuckerberg?
Yeah, Fuckerberg's fine. But
okay.
The revelation we got this week was that not only did that happen, but they also got emails from the CDC directly during the outbreak of COVID. And this was actually initially under the Trump administration, but continued very thoroughly into the Biden administration.
Mm-hmm.
Direct orders to censor information on their platform about vaccines and about the virus.
Which does not surprise either one of us.
Which people say, oh, well, the argument was they're a private company to do what they want. But the irony is that the censorship doesn't appear to have come from them. It came from the government.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a violation of our First Amendment rights that went on here.
Mm-hmm.
The government is forbidden from doing any restricting of speech, period.
Indeed.
Like, if they're not restricted to that, then they're restricted to nothing. There's no restriction if they're not restricted to that. It's Amendment 1.
Quite.
And so the logic there is, does it count when a bureau head or a bunch of bureau heads decide to engage in violations of the rights of American citizens? Does it count as a violation of the Constitution? Do they then deserve to be arrested because that is a high crime?
The whole administration has been violating the Constitution since Biden got halfway through his acceptance speech or his vows back in January of 2020.
But see, that was the point I was going to make about this story, though. This censorship...
Or 2021, I meant.
This censorship started under Trump's administration in 2020.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, he would never do such a thing, and he said so himself many times. Mm-hmm. So this was a bunch of rogue bureau agents doing what they wanted to under the president's nose at the time.
Yeah.
And then when Biden got in, they weren't doing it under his nose anymore. They were doing it on his direct orders.
Yeah.
That's what happened here.
Mm-hmm.
And so while the lefties will come in and say, oh, see, well, this happened under the Biden administration. It happened under the Trump administration. And I'm like, yeah, it did. But it continued under Biden. And it should have never started.
And with that, at some point before we get to Tom, I do want to talk about Trump's speech. Because if we're going to look at one side's speech, we should look at the others too. Because I did watch Trump's last night and into the wee hours of the morning when I noticed that someone posted the whole thing on YouTube. I'm like, let me take a look at this because I want to know what Trump said. The entire time, first of all, he came out to Lee Greenwood's, what's the name of that song?
Proud to be an American?
God,
yeah, God bless the USA.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So he came out to that. I'm like,
though he does that all the time with his speeches.
Well,
I mean, his rallies.
Yeah. Well, I normally have not watched any of his rallies, much less when he came out. So
Gave though
I did not find anything that I disagree.
Makes it pretty clear. Like Biden is in opposition to half of America. Trump just wants America to get better, heal. You know. Succeed, have prosperity.
What's Joshy saying now on Twitter?
Have less suffering.
Okay, he tweeted out a TikTok that he found about the give a fuck oven. The fuck? Okay. I wonder what the hell you make in an oven like that. Anyway.
But yeah, the thing with these two speeches, both candidates are already campaigning. They went to the same time and both gave speeches, and their speeches were diametrically opposed to each other.
Yeah, they were one was a patriotic crusader, and the other was just like the man with the funny mustache.
Yeah, I mean,
one screamed fascism, the other screamed freedom, liberty, and the United States of America, really.
If people wanted to have a gut check on what it feels like to be stuck in a moral dilemma where you're sitting there saying, oh my God, am I the bad guy? Are we the baddies? You know, Hans, are we the baddies?
If I could do stuff like that on here, trust me, I would be playing that clip from that film. Are we the baddies? Yeah.
Well, that was a comedy skit, but
yeah. Oh well.
But anyway, the point being,
I would still be playing it, because then cut to me going, yes, you are the baddies.
Unless you are a person who literally just enjoys having an enemy and killing them. Like that's your whole MO in politics.
Yeah.
I have an enemy and I enjoy killing them is your whole political outlook.
Yeah.
You should have hated the Biden speech.
I don't want to say that I hated it. I just was confused, concerned, creeped out. And
you came to the table and went, folded your hands together and said, I have some concerns.
It was kind of like when I started my Facebook account for the first time, and it's my personal one, folks. And I asked you, what should I put down for my political views? Do you remember what you told me?
Well, I told you that you were kind of more like you came to an objectionist position.
Yeah, but at the time you said that it was fitting to put down right-wing objectionist. Now today it's just objectionist. I'm not right-wing. I'm not left-wing. I'm just here. So picture me as a senator. In other words, I would lose a lot of weight standing up going objection for 50 years of my life. In other words, I could eat anything I want because I know I'm going to get a workout every day in Congress just standing up going objection.
Since I'm aware that everyone has their own opinions.
Yeah.
And I am capable of seeing other people's.
Yeah.
I'm aware that tensions are high and people are emotional and even angry.
Yeah.
And
some are.
There's reasons to find anger from all sides.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to other half of the country. There's no reason to dehumanize half of the country.
For me personally, there's no anger politically. It's just concern and what's the other word I'm looking for other than concern? It's not fear. Concern and
you're dismayed, I'm sure.
Dismay, yeah, that's a pretty accurate one.
Okay, you're like, I can't believe this motherfucker just did this.
I think another word that probably would fit at times is disenfranchised.
Oh yeah, well that too, but that's been a long time.
But then again, I would have said that about me politically since even before Trump took office. So
correct. That's why I said it's been a long time since you could say that you felt enfranchised.
Really started going into the really 2011 for the most part, but it really came to a head coming out of the 2012 election. But still,
yeah, I know, and all of this is sort of beside the point. But the point I would make though is that I don't know what the average Democrat wants anymore. Because if what they want is the death of everyone that disagrees with them, then I fail to see how they think that they are the good guys here.
They're not. They are definitely the baddies. If that's the case.
If they think that everyone else that disagrees with them is trying to kill everybody, and that by killing them, this is self-defense, which I've heard arguments about that too.
Yeah.
Then how does the optics of this make any sense then, if that reality is true?
God only knows.
If Joe Biden was coming to America with this speech in order to say, look, folks, we have to calm down, we have to be reasonable, we have to talk to each other, we have to get along, we have to move on as a country, we have to go on together. If he said any of those things, I might believe that he wanted actual unity.
Yeah.
He didn't say any of that. He said everyone that disagrees with me, everyone that has this certain ideology, which is 75 million people, are evil and are fascists and are a danger to the republic and must be stopped.
Indeed.
That's what he said.
Yes, he did.
And I failed to see how that's helping.
Well,
I mean, that would be an understatement. I have many more things I
there
say about it. But
many more things that we could both say about it, but we shouldn't say them on YouTube because obviously we would get permanent instant banned for it.
Yeah, no, I know. And all of that's true. But I just don't understand how, if you are a conscientious, leftist or Democrat or whatever, and you're witnessing this and you're like, yeah, that was great. Like, you realize you've lost your way, don't you? Like, I'm not one to lecture the other side, but but be reasonable, folks, because if you don't be reasonable, you're going to have unreasonable things happen. And you don't want that.
Yeah. So on that note, we are about almost 25 minutes in. Let's get to Tom's video. We'll discuss that and then hopefully go through any final thoughts and wrap it up because you got family gathering stuff to get to. So
sure.
No, I don't because I'm in Minnesota. They're all out in Arizona, so I can't get there and back by tomorrow. 1,000 miles, folks. So it is what it is. Yeah. Because I have to work in the morning at 5 a.m.
Like you've said many times, though, you're figuring how to sort that out. So
yeah, that'll come to a head by the spring of next year. So when it's all said and done. But for now, without any further ado, for those that will be watching this after the fact, since we do not have anyone live at the moment, Nord watched this video beforehand, so he's already finally seen it. I've seen it a number of times now. We're only doing this just to discuss it here because it's just something that we want to do, given what we've already been discussing here. Because this video fits what we're talking about. So
we touched on the censorship and the lies and the misinformation that the actual authorities have been putting out.
Yeah.
And the confusion and the rage and the anger and the fear that's been going on for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, and also the fact that we actually already talked about it, much like Tom did at the time, because this video from Tom was released in March of 2020. That was the same time frame that you were getting over COVID. And we wound up doing the pre-recorded episode of what turned into Breaking Rocks, but back then it was just called the Drew Dat Podcast at the time.
Yeah.
On the channel. So I believe that was episode 2, right? Or was that 3?
It might have been 2 or 3. I'm not sure.
Whichever one it was, it's still up on the channel, so you guys can go check that out after you're done watching this. And my leg itches for some reason. But on that note, Tom, let's hear from you about COVID at the time, back in March of 2020. I almost said 2020.
Yeah,
I almost said 2022 for a second.
Yeah.
That would have been a hell of a thing if you released this video this year. But no, it was at the time about 2 years ago. So let's hear from Tom here after the fucking T-Mobile ad. So
$225 in value each month.
here we go.
I don't know what to think about this virus. It started in China, now everybody in America's hiding. There's no groceries because people start to panic and buy it. The shelves are empty, the ones with plenty already stockpiling. Y'all making memes, think it's funny. Wait a week till the riots, wait a month till the only way to eat is be violent. It's not the sickness, it's scary. It's all the people who violent. The government's lying, they try to keep us calm through the sirens. You know it's for real. And all the pharmaceutical giants don't have a cure that they can sell you, so now everyone's dying. There's no vaccines or medication made that can fight it. This is time to
Okay, I'm going to pause it there because he does say at the time that there's no vaccines that the pharmaceutical giants can give us. At the time, that was the case when this video was made. So that's the time frame that this video came out in, folks. So, Nord, any thoughts on the lyrics so far? Fuck. My mic turned off here. Like I was trying to say, and then I realized my mic was turned off because the controller turned off. Your thoughts on the lyrics of the last thing that was said before I paused it, because that's what you have to do when you're reacting to stuff on YouTube. That there's no vaccine that the pharmaceutical giants can give us. That was true at the time when this video was released. Nord, your thoughts on that line?
Well, yeah, back in March 18th of 2020 when it came out, that was a true statement, which added to the paranoia and fear because, there was no real treatment for it. You either avoided getting it or you got it and hoped you survived.
Yeah. Let's take it back a hair.
But on that note, if I may say so.
Yeah. Yeah, go for it.
The concept that the vaccine will prevent death was thoroughly demolished in the meantime.
Since, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't prevent jack shit.
Yeah. It seemingly dulls whatever you experience, but doesn't prevent anything.
It's a controlled...
It's a controlled what?
It's a controlled exposure.
Yeah. So on
that's what it is.
So on that note, back to what Tom's got to say.
There's no vaccines or medication made that can fight it. This is time to pray to God. We can't rely on the science. And everyone around me in a mask and some gloves. The stock market crashed and the bank's about to bust. Tell us sanitize our hands. This will pass. It's a bug. Stay inside. You'll be fine till we're trapped there for months. It's all ghost now, we're in this together. We're closing all the stores now, we're headed for shelter. It's all war now, they'll always remember. We're looking on our foes now, we're sticking together.
And that's another thing that I want to bring up. Shutting everything down was the biggest fucking mistake.
Sure, the solution was worse than the problem.
Yeah. I was saying at the time when all of the shutdowns were going on, and I don't know if I ever said this on camera before, so I'm going to say it now. Back when the Black Plague was sweeping through the earth in history, what did...
Yeah, Europe.
Yeah.
The medieval era of Europe, yes.
Yeah. What did they do to try to combat it? They shut people in their houses, and it only made the shit worse.
Correct, until they realized what they needed to do was clean their houses and burn the bodies.
Yeah. And clean the city streets and actually sanitize and take baths, showers, whatever. And yet, through COVID, what happened? Shut yourself in, you'll be fine. Didn't this happen before in history and the human race wasn't? That was my thought at the time. We're shutting ourselves in like they did with the Black Plague. That didn't end well. So,
well, the thing is that the idea is based on the slowing of the spread plan. Okay?
Yeah.
The problem is that anyone who was in any way knowledgeable about virology would know that the spread was inevitable by the time it got out of containment.
Yeah.
Inevitable. Which is like, not just the Thanos joke, but, inevitable. Meaning it will be through the entire population eventually, without any chance of failure.
Yeah.
That's what inevitable means.
Quite. So on that note, back to what Tom was saying in the video.
It's all war now, they'll always remember. We're looking on our foes now, we're sticking together. This a pandemic, but we don't listen to the news because they lied to us for years, so how we know that this the truth? And most of us are young enough to think that we're...
The news has lied to us for years, so how do we know that it is the truth? Exactly. Nord?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those blatant, obvious statements for anyone that doesn't believe that. Man, I feel sorry for those people.
Yeah, those are the ones still voting for Biden, regardless of how...
I mean, they're the ones that will
speech.
watch the late night news and literally believe everything they're told.
Yeah.
The television told me.
Well, the television tells me other things, but that's because I watch people like Ben Shapiro.
Well, the point I was making, though, is that if you don't assess claims and you take, authority for your opinion,
Yeah.
you just say, "Oh, the media said it, so it can't be a lie," because they're the authority on truth. It's like you've already been duped at that point.
Yeah.
You've duped yourself.
I'm sorry
Each claim, based on reasonable argumentation, each claim is to be examined on its own, on its face.
The mainstream...
Not taken as truth because of where it came from.
The mainstream news like CNN and NBC haven't been authorities on truth in my entire life, I feel.
Yeah, that would be true, yes.
And Fox News maybe they were for the first 3 or 4 years that one existed.
The entire mainstream media didn't know what to say, and everything they did say was, sanitized for the mission.
Yeah.
And I have bad news for everyone that thinks that this whole crisis wasn't entirely and completely useful. It was. And the more you know, the worse it looks.
It was one side, don't let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah, or more specifically for those of us who've looked into it, let's create a crisis because crises are very useful.
Create a problem, then solve it so you look like the hero, even though you created the problem in the first place.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of problems for the system, back to Tom. I love referring to him as the monkey wrench in the system because he calls himself that in some of his music. But back to the monkey wrench.
This a pandemic, but we don't listen to the news because they lied to us for years. So how we know that this the truth? And most of us are young enough to think that we're immune, so we just pass it on to people who won't survive it like you. It's even worse than they're telling us, or it's nothing at all. But the school shut down, a ghost town in the mall. They go quarantine the city, block the road out of Dodge. Then tell us leaving our homes is actually breaking the law. This is just the beginning, you know it's gotta get worse. If the doctors get sick, the hospitals won't work. The conspiracy.
That reminds me of something. We're told that leaving the house is breaking the law. I remember when COVID broke out. Now, I work in retail, folks, and at the time, my ETL gave me a piece of paper with his name on it, and then I had to sign it, saying that I was a necessary worker and that I was allowed to leave the house to go to work because I work in retail. Just in case if cops stopped me and asked me why I was leaving the house, I had to show them that to be allowed to go to work.
Yeah, your papers.
Yeah, I was given that. I still have that in my dresser. It's wrinkled as fuck because it was in my wallet for like a year and a half.
No, and that's a good thing
still,
to keep too because it's an heirloom for what we've gone through here.
Yeah. Now, a fun fact, the name of the leader on it doesn't work at the company that I work at still, but because he left because he decided that he wanted to go travel the country on his motorcycle up and down the roads basically midway through 2020.
Yeah.
Have fun, sir. When everyone else is freaking out about COVID, he decided that he wants to hop on his motorcycle and just ride up and down the roads. All right. Any thoughts before we get back to Tom?
Yeah, the whole restrictions and lockdown thing, I mean, it's like they prepped us to violate the Constitution right out from under us. And we were told that it was for our own safety, like always.
Which was a load of shit, as it turns out.
Because it didn't help stop jack shit, because everything still happened anyway.
Yeah, and I was thinking it was a load of shit from the very beginning, and it turns out I was right.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the one thing I was trying to explain to people is that you can't call something a quarantine when people can still go to the grocery store and still go out to their job and still go out to the park. So it's not a quarantine.
Yeah, so if I may borrow a line from one of our favorite YouTubers, Razor Fist, Rageaholic, fuck you, I was right. Anyway.
Yeah, and so my point there is that, and if it wasn't a quarantine, and everyone should have stopped calling it that because it wasn't that,
yeah,
then it wasn't going to be effective because everyone knows that this is why they use that word. It is a quarantine, but it wasn't a quarantine. So everyone should have known right there it was useless.
Mm-hmm. But what's not useless is getting back to Tom's music, which is what we're going to do right here.
The city blocked the road out of Dodge. Then tell us leaving our homes is actually breaking the law. This is just the beginning. You know it's gotta get worse. If the doctors get sick, the hospitals won't work. The conspiracy theories are some facts, I'm not sure. But the fact is we're trapped on this planet on Earth. And the bleach gone, the bread gone, the water sold out. The meat gone, the milk gone, the pasta sold out. Don't leave anything for anyone. You hoard it for yourself. You'd rather tell them go to hell than be a man and go in hell.
That's a powerful line right there. He was talking about all of the stuff is sold out. You'd rather hoard it for yourself than be a man and go and help.
Yeah, well, that was just, usual fear-mongering consumerism stuff.
Yeah.
It's what happens whenever there's, a severe thunderstorm warning. Everyone runs to the store and grabs all the bread.
Yeah. But that's still a powerful line from Tom. You'd rather, and I'm going to put my own spin on it because that's what I do here on my channel. You'd rather live in fear than be a man and go and help.
No, yeah, I mean, and there were good things that came out of people and there were bad things.
Oh, yeah.
It's like everyone in society was given a character check, you know?
Mm-hmm. And they could go do whatever they want, be as shitty as they want, and nobody was going to give a shit.
Sure, and all of this took place in the middle of a riotous summer of love, too.
Love.
Which was great.
Yeah.
You know, I'm being horrendously sarcastic here.
But also in the song, Tom does mention, wait till the riots start. He does mention that.
I did say that.
Yeah, he does mention that, and that's coming up here.
It's almost like he knew.
Well, I'm fairly certain that he released this as they were starting. So.
Well, no, bro. We know that late May is when that incident happened, and that's a whole other situation.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong, but this was after the George Floyd thing too.
No, that's my point. May 29th. May 29th was when that happened. This was March 18th. The video here. He's talking about riots over the virus. He's not talking about riots over race relations.
I did not know that. Maybe Tom really is the George Carlin of the music.
Well,
business.
Again, he didn't mean it in terms of race riot. He meant in terms of rioting over the virus.
Well,
that's what he meant.
Keeping in mind, George Carlin
he was right for the wrong reason.
George Carlin did a stand-up special talking about viruses and whatnot in the 90s. Need I say more? George Carlin was ahead of his time, predicting the future.
He was. Plenty of things. Yeah.
Tom is ahead of his time too. Then.
Sure, you could classify it as a type of
visionary
prophecy. Off on the reasoning, though.
I would say I wouldn't say prophecy. I would say visionary.
If in his song here that he posted in March of 2020, if in the song he said that there'll be race riots by summer, then he would have been legitimately prophetic.
Well, let's hear what it actually said, because I don't remember all of the fucking words, but I remember most of them from the song. Because I've heard this a number of times, because I have the album that it's from, which is right here, called Flowers for the Dead. And it's track number 1, 2, 3, 4, track number 6 on it. So, and I have my Tom MacDonald albums piled on the 360 games right here behind me, even though you guys can't see them. But anyway, back to Tom's video, because we've talked enough here.
Meat's gone, the bread gone, the water sold out, the meat gone, the milk gone, the pasta sold out. Don't leave anything for anyone. You hoard it for yourself. You'd rather tell them go to hell than be a man and go in hell. It's all goes down, we're in this together. We're closing all the stores down, we're headed for shelter. It's all born out, I'll always remember. We're locking on our doors, now we're sticking together. Preparing for the worst. There's one thing we're not scared of, it's our work. We're up against an enemy that doesn't have a face. There's no bombs we can drop, there's nowhere we can aim.
We're up against an enemy that doesn't have a face. There's nowhere that we can drop our bombs. There's no enemy we can face. Yeah.
Except China.
Well, if you want to get into that, that's a whole nother can of fucking worms.
I'm being fun.
I know that, but I'm being serious. That's a whole nother can of fucking worms right there. That I don't really want to get into because we're broadcasting on YouTube.
No, I know. I'm being funny.
But I agree with you, but I don't want to get into it because we're live. But, yeah. How do you bomb a virus without a functional, vaccine other than praying to God that things will turn around at that point? Nord?
Yeah, again, the only thing people had to work with was their immune system.
And praying to God, that was it.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to this, because we're almost through.
Preparing for the worst. There's one thing we're not scared of, it's our work. We're up against an enemy that doesn't have a face. There's no bombs we can drop, there's nowhere we can aim. There's no soldiers to stop with a tank at the gates. There's no cure that we've got, or a pill we can take. There's no food, it's been bought. The truth is we're afraid. We sit inside our rooms and we pray. It's our cause now, we're in this together. Closing all the stores now, we're heading for shelter. It's all war now, we'll always remember. We're locking all our doors now, we're sticking together.
At the end, it says, "Be smart, be strong, be safe. Together we will overcome. Do your part." Yeah. Published March 18th, 2021. 14 million.
No, 2020. It was 2020, not
2020,
2021.
right? Fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't read like Drunk 3PO because I read 2020 on the screen and said 2021. Shoot me. Anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, that was the video by Tom MacDonald. By the way, I noticed that right under it is suggesting a video that I've already reacted to on the channel by Burden World called "I Was Lying." I did check that out, and fun fact, Burden himself actually got to me in the comments and whatnot. Yeah. So shout out to you, Burden. Thank you so much for commenting on that. I appreciate you. I appreciate your music. And if you guys aren't subscribed to Burden World on YouTube, go check out his music. Go subscribe to his channel. Also, go subscribe to Tom MacDonald if you're not, and go check out his videos. And leave a like I'm doing on MacDonald, which apparently I did not watch this directly on this account, which is the Drew That Underground Gaming account on YouTube, apparently.
Yep.
Because I did watch it on the other account, but apparently not on this one. So, until now, apparently, even though I've seen the video before, obviously, like I said. So, on that note, anything else you want to add about this video from Tom MacDonald before we start wrapping things up here? Nord? Fuck. Anything you want to add, Nord, about the video we just checked out from Tom MacDonald that you watched ahead of time before we start wrapping shit up here?
It's a flashback, sort of. It just kind of
to look back at and remember where we came from, kind of like the days after 9/11 and the years after, going back and watching the footage of what happened that day, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
But not quite in that manner, if that makes sense. Does it?
You remember I mentioned flashbacks earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, about those flashbacks. Yeah, some of us are going to have those about the whole 2020 COVID thing.
So, well, the whole year of 2020 in general, but yeah.
And that's kind of what this video that we just played does for me.
Yeah. Because
it gets my mind back in the same outraged position I was when all of it was happening.
Actually, this is going to sound weird, but for me, this video takes me back to the time frame of March and whatnot and what I was doing at that time. At that time, I was playing a game that had just come out called Dreams on my PS4. So something like this makes you think about what games was I playing back then? Dreams, and I don't remember anything else that came out at that point. So
the one that comes to mind for me was Plague Tale.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Plague Tale Innocence came out right as this whole thing happened.
I forgot about that. I played that too.
So there you go.
Thanks for removing the block from my memory on that.
Yeah.
Now I have to put the restraint bolt back on. But anyway, yeah. Next week, we don't know what we're going to do. for this. We'll see what comes up throughout the week.
Yeah, there's always more. There's always more.
Hopefully, we don't have to talk about Brandon or Biden, if you will. But who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows who he'll shit his pants in front of next? Who the hell knows if he's going to give another fiery speech like the man with the mustache again?
Well, the whole thing here about that was that he's done screwed the pooch now.
Yeah. The mask is... Well, it's not the mask is off. The whole fucking suit is off.
Everyone is either laughing at him, not taking him seriously, or actually legitimately terrified of this guy. So all three of those are bad.
Yeah. However, if I have the energy after this, I'm considering trying to go live on the gaming channel on YouTube to play some Horizon Zero Dawn today. Assuming I have the energy, and if you don't see me live, then obviously I fell asleep then. Because I've been up throughout the night, because I got up at last night about 7-something to stream playing Enlisted on Twitch with this guy, which was fun, which will be making its way to the gaming channel on YouTube by tomorrow evening, maybe? We'll see. Or I'll probably wind up uploading it, but scheduling it for like Wednesday or something like that to release to people on YouTube. But it's currently up on Twitch if you want to go watch the fun and games that Nord and I got into trying to trying to fight a war in World War II of all time frames.
Yeah, we didn't do so well in Berlin.
No, we didn't. Well,
we were struggling.
Well, I did better than you.
Yeah, apparently.
So I was.
Even though I don't think I did terribly.
Well, you did come in last place on our team, so.
Well, sure, but it was my first experience of even playing that game. And
well, it was mine too, and I still did better than the first-person shooter guy on the team.
Yeah.
Which was fun enough.
I could get better if I played that game more, but.
Well, like I said at the time, the only time I intend to play it again is like with Josh, if he wants to play it at some point I stream, I'll stream it then. Or if I wind up playing it like with another content creator of some kind. Like, for example, if I were to get an invite to play it with the person that inspired me to do that last night, which was Hello Beautiful on Twitch. By the way, she's also on YouTube. Go check her out. She also reacts to Tom MacDonald and other independent artists as well with her sister. So it's another family situation, kind of like us, Nord.
Yeah.
So go check them out on YouTube and Twitch. They are great content creators and tremendous human beings. So anything else we want to add before we get out of here?
Well, I did want to mention the whole She-Hulk and Rings of Power duo that they've got on us right now.
We might as well do that since this is Breaking Rocks anyway. So
yeah.
So what's on your mind about She-Hulk other than it's fucking? I don't want to say hot garbage because that's degrading to things that are hot and garbage.
Yeah, the coping is difficult to witness, but for anyone that is not already in the camp that the MCU is dead, I can't see your argument about how it's not dead now.
If you don't think it's dead, go watch She-Hulk twerking.
Yeah, it's like...
Because that's a thing, apparently.
It's literally the fascination that these writers have with asses.
They're a bunch of fucking teenagers, clearly.
Yeah, and I mean, trying to be hip, but I don't even see the point in that. They're literally misunderstanding the whole point of the MCU. The MCU is supposed to be a comic book universe.
Except for now they're going with a trend that was popular like 10 years ago.
It's not supposed to be our universe plus superheroes.
Or
It's supposed to be the superhero universe. So twerking and having rapper cameos and shit is just so beside the point.
Yeah.
And the fact that people are like, oh no, this is brave, this is wonderful, this is great. I'm just like, the MCU doesn't even give a fuck about itself anymore.
Yeah. It is long dead.
Let alone any of the characters that they're depicting. If you read the comic books of She-Hulk, you would like that character. It was well written. It's a good character. It deserves a film. But this shit is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an absolute disgrace to my eyeballs and my brain.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't even despise Megan Thee Stallion. I really don't. It's fine. She's fine. She's a rapper. It is what it is. But it has no business. None of that has any business in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that literally was just a self-promoting self-insert. I mean, I just failed to see the point other than happily destroying everything.
For the one viewer that we picked up, whoever you are, you've tuned in just in time for Desert Nord to rant about She-Hulk. And the Rings of Power is the other one. All right, go ahead and rant about that, because I don't really have anything to say about it, because I'm going to pretend that it doesn't exist.
No, I am not watching that crap. It literally doesn't care about its own lore.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh hey, Lord of Rings fans, we got something here for you. It's called a middle finger.
It's been called The Last Jedi Part 2. Well, although truth be told, I think it's more like Last Jedi Part 3. If you know what I mean by that. If you
enjoy paying money to have someone call you some horrible name and flip you off, then you'll love it.
Yeah. Because
but if you don't like doing that, you'll hate it.
In my experience of gaming and entertainment and pop culture, there was The Last Jedi, then there was The Last of Us Part 2, and now this.
Yeah, no, they destroyed Star Wars and Star Trek. Now they went on to destroy Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
At least, well, try to.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are like, this doesn't even exist. I'm not seeing this. This isn't real. You know, I'm alone by myself with silent lucidity on this. I'm watching Peter Jackson's work, and I am ignoring this even existing.
Actually, fun fact, personally for me, all of the coverage of the Rings of Power actually had me just the other day go back through and watch the original trilogy of Lord of the Rings. Fellowship, Towers, and Return of the King.
Yeah, and that's what fans should do.
Yeah.
Ignore this shit and go watch the good stuff.
Hell, I can even make this comparison with the Hobbit trilogy in comparison to this. This is the sequel trilogy to Star Wars.
Yeah, just like it's like they did exactly the same thing with this as they've done with Star Wars.
Because
people were complaining about the Hobbit trilogy, but the Hobbit trilogy looks like great compared to this.
When the Hobbit films came out, amongst Lord of the Rings fans, it was kind of seen as the Star Wars prequels. It's fine, it does its thing, but it's not really that great. Then this makes the Hobbit films even more look like the prequels in comparison to the sequel trilogy to the prequels. The Star Wars sequel trilogy made the prequels is what I'm trying to say. What the hell is a prequel? The prequels. I talk as well as Drunk 3PL, folks. I'm gonna say it every time that I fuck up. I talk and read like drunk 3PO. You might as well call me Drew 3PO at this point. But the sequel trilogy made the Star Wars prequels and George Lucas look like works of art. The Rings of Power make the Hobbit films look exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Even though at the time they weren't really that liked, although they were by some, but not all Lord of the Rings fans.
They were panned pretty badly.
But now I hear people that didn't really like them saying that they do now, in the case of the Hobbit films.
Sure. Again, it's the same exact effect we've had with the sequel trilogy of Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Where people go back and watch the prequels and go, this isn't even that bad by comparison.
Exactly.
But they'll always love the OT, but you know.
But on that note, any other last minute things before we start shutting down for the day? Yeah.
No, I think that I've said my piece, and I just, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of travesty out there, and
so
it's good to just point everything out, you know.
Once again, to recap, shout out to Tom MacDonald for the music video called Coronavirus, which we checked out earlier. If you want to go back and watch this, obviously all past streams of this remain on the channel, no questions asked, for everyone to view at their leisure forever and ever until YouTube decides, fuck you, I'm deleting the channel.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. Because I'm not deleting shit anymore. Unless it's like absolute fucking trash and I fucking hate it. then that's a whole nother story. That means I completely fucked up with something somewhere along the way. But on that note, also shout out to Burden World, like I said earlier, for commenting and basically introducing himself to me and taking note that we exist here. So shout out to you, Burden World. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, your music, and your talents, and keep up the great work, brother. And also shout out to Hello Beautiful, which prompted us to play Enlisted last night on Twitch. She was the inspiration for that, so shout out to you, Hello Beautiful, as well. And on that note, what are you going to be up to after this?
Well, you already know.
Other than getting together with our family.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that you guys are starting to play ESO.
Well, I'm trying to. When I find the time, because I slept all day yesterday, so I missed Talking Penheads on Judge's channel. Apparently, Phil's open mic stream, which if I had the energy to stay awake, I would have done that before doing our thing last night.
Yeah.
But seeing as how I've been up all night, I'm going to put my clean clothes away, and if I have energy, try to go live on YouTube. If I don't, I'm probably going to lay down. And the way I feel right now, I think it's probably more accurate that I'm going to lay down. However, tomorrow after work, I am going to try to stream doing something somewhere. I don't know where, but as always, I tweet out my stream as I'm going live. So just pay attention to Twitter for tomorrow. So I do want to get back into playing some more Horizon Zero Dawn because I want to finally get through that game. I've been meaning to do that since it came out in 2016 or whenever the hell it released. When I first got it. Also, I do want to get into playing Monster Hunter World on stream soon too. Because I've only played like 10 minutes of that, or like an hour of that maybe so far. So, I haven't played it at all, really. Because in Monster Hunter World, I only got as far as, the little cat creature that I created at the time. I named him after Harpo, our dead cat. And in the opening sequence, something happens. He falls into a pit of flames, so I think I watched Harpo die for the second time. Just to find him at the canteen, which is like a bar-like area. So at the time, my reaction was great. Harpo's at the bar when I think he's dead. That's fitting.
Yeah.
I think he's dead and he's at the bar drinking catnip. So that's why I want to play it on stream for shit like that. So that's going to be coming up at some point to play Monster Hunter World. Plus, someone also did suggest that I play it, which I think was probably Joshy, for all I know. Because I do remember writing it down as one of the games that I've been meaning to play on stream, so I'm going to try to start doing that soon, too. But on that note, everybody, we've been live for an hour and 5 minutes. Nord's got places to be, important people to talk to, and hang out with. And on that note, I will see you guys, if not again today, definitely tomorrow after work. And until then, be safe, be well, treat each other with respect and dignity, something that Biden clearly knows nothing about.
Yep, definitely
and not. Anything else other than fuck Biden?
Yeah, especially that today. That was ridiculous, and he deserves to be sad. He should feel bad about that because it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
You don't want to go with Let's Go Brandon anymore.
Yeah, no, let's not go Brandon. Jesus. But yes, let's go Brandon.
I will say this in honor of Burden being in the comments in my last video. Fuck Brandon too.
He thinks we're encouraging him. We probably should stop this.
Yeah. Fuck Biden and fuck Brandon too, as Burden said.
Yeah.
Thank you, Burden. We'll see you guys next time.